Hey, do you remember Fantastic, the company behind the notorious zombie survival game flop of 2023, The Day Before? Yes, that Day Before, the game I was raising concerns about since its initial reveal trailer in early 2021. Having looked into the development studio, their poor track record of failed games, coupled with a trailer that looked leagues above anything they had done, something about it just didn't seem right. Then, in the following years, a lot of red flags popped up, including more trailers that were clearly vertical slices and predominantly full of store-bought assets, their heavy inspiration pulled from other games, like shot compositions and even the game's logo, their use of unpaid development labor, whom they refer to as, quote, volunteers, their marketing bait and switches, where they would promise to reveal info about The Day Before, but instead announced another game, Prop Night, or their team's equivalent collaboration app called Continent, the trademark disputes over the name The Day Before, which resulted in the game's removal from Steam and they denied any knowledge of, them announcing a release date and then delaying it 5 times over the course of 2 years, and then eventually, when the trademark issue got resolved, the game returned to Steam and did actually see a release on December 7th, 2023, and that launch, if you recall, was a complete and utter disaster. The game was not even remotely what they said it was going to be. Instead of getting an open world zombie survival MMO, what we saw was a fairly small extraction game that was also extremely bare bones, lacking many expected features and mechanics. What was there though, it was a complete mess, and frankly, it was just a bad game. The gameplay felt awful, the world was empty, not just of things to do or items to collect, but there were barely any other players or zombies either, and even with so little populating the environment, performance of the game was abysmal, with constantly fluctuating frame rates, stuttering, and massive spikes of server lag. And to top it all off, there were more bugs and glitches than I had seen in a game in a very long time. Zombies constantly getting stuck on the terrain, players falling through the floor into oblivion, character models vanishing, resulting in a decent number of invisible players running around, or animations constantly glitching out like the ever-expanding heads, or getting players stuck in poses even while they're moving. The result of all of this, not surprisingly, was that the game flopped hard, with overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam, reaching an impressively low 16% rating, and then 4 days after its launch on December 11th, Fantastic announced that they were ending support of The Day Before, but also that they were closing the studio. Valve, seeing this, then proactively shut down the game's store page and issued refunds to anyone who purchased it. The Day Before was officially dead, and Fantastic was gone as a studio, never to be heard from again. That was up until yesterday. They are back, ready to make games once more, and are asking for your help. And by help, of course, I mean money, because they didn't get any money from sales of The Day Before, and they are promising that this time they're gonna use it to make good games, that they won't abandon. Totally trust us. We've got a great track record. All right, so here's the story. On Thursday evening, out of nowhere, Fantastic posted the following tweet. Once you helped us create Fantastic through Kickstarter, today we need your help again to bring Fantastic back. Learn more and support us at fantastic.com. So heading over to the website reveals the game plan for what they are calling Fantastic 2.0, the revival of this beloved company, now with their hat in their hand, asking for your support. So how can you help them, you're wondering? Well, they've got a few ways to do so. Don't do any of this, by the way, in case it wasn't already obvious. Don't do this, all right? But first, they've got a Kickstarter that they've launched for their brand new game. It is called Escape Factory. This appears to be a Fall Guys-inspired physics-based co-op game. As of this recording, the game has a total of 19 backers on Kickstarter and has reached $454 of their $15,567 goal. So first of all, I pray that those 19 backers are not anyone outside of the company. People, please do not fall for this again. But secondly, $15,000 to make a game? What? The game is actually already currently playable. There is a demo for Escape Factory available on the Steam page. Personally, I refuse to download anything from this company ever again. I simply do not trust it on my computer at all. I was wondering though if there were people who were going to check it out, and turns out yes. Coincidentally enough, when I looked on SteamDB, it appears there is a total of 19 people playing the demo. Presumably, those are the exact same 19 people who also backed the Kickstarter. Now, there's a bunch of other info about the game on this page, including stretch goals, but I mean, come on, honestly speaking, who cares? This is clearly just another cash grab from a developer who has shown you time and time again that you should not support them. You are much better off supporting this channel by taking a moment to watch today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Factor. This is a food service that delivers ready-to-eat meals straight to your door. All you gotta do is toss it in the microwave or oven, warming it up, and you're good to go. My favorite thing about the service, though, is you can get several days worth of food sent to you without having to visit the grocery store or go find parking to pick up to go somewhere. These meals are delivered fresh, were never frozen, and are all dietitian approved. There's a wide variety of meal types as well, offering a fit for whatever your preference may be. If you're looking for keto, vegan, calorie smart, or if you just want something that is tasty and fresh. There's currently over 34 different chef-prepared meal options, on top of a wide assortment of add-ons, including breakfast items and smoothies. Earlier today, I tried the chicken Florentine meal. Super simple process. Open the container, poke a few holes in it, toss it in the microwave, and then after just 2 minutes, the whole thing's ready to eat. I also had some of their protein smoothie. Everything tasted good. I'm pretty picky about my meats, and I thought the chicken had a good texture, taste, and moisture as well. It wasn't rubbery or anything like that. So if you're interested and want to try Factor yourself, head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code ForceGaming50. That'll get you 50% off your first Factor box and then 20% off your next month of orders. Okay, so beyond this Kickstarter campaign for a brand new game, Fantastic has a few other ways you can help them out if you want to. Once again, please don't do it. But there's also a merch shop so you can rep your favorite game developer. What are they even thinking? Funnily enough, it looks like there's already a few items sold out. Apparently, the demand has been so hot that they no longer have any hats or white t-shirts available for sale. I'm gonna fairly confidently say that this is BS, totally fake, and they're not actually sold out of anything, but are instead using this as like a means of creating some FOMO or something. Like, damn, those $20 hats are all gone. I guess I'll buy one of those $65 hoodies. Like, come on, guys. Seriously, it's very strange and extremely hard to believe the development studio, who had such a massive public failure, has sold out of anything. There's only 19 people backing their new Kickstarter project after all. Unless they only had 19 hats and t-shirts available for sale, I guess that is the other possibility. I think they're fudging the quantities available to get you to think that people are buying this stuff. What's less interesting, though, than Fantastic's current attempts at making money off of you are their updated mission statement and explanations for past failures. So they say here, everyone deserves a second chance. We deeply apologize to everyone for the day before and take full responsibility for what happened. Check out our plan, Fantastic 2.0, where we share how we'll fix our past mistakes and are preparing to return better. Now, what they are calling their plan for recovery is presented as a PDF that looks a lot like a sales pitch meant for investors. I mean, it even has a cover letter page and everything. The first actual page of content is titled Fantastic 2.0 Principles, and it consists of 3 main bullet points that they want to show you represents their new plan for the future. This is going to be honesty, transparency, and professionalism. I kid you not. Those are the 3 pillars. Those 3 pillars, quite literally, the inverse of everything that they've done up until this point. But okay, this is a rebrand after all, so let's hear what they have to say of their new vision for the future. Starting with honesty, they say from now on, our development and marketing will be based on the principle of honesty. That from now on part an important distinction. First, we commit to building trust within our community through direct and honest communication. From now on, we commit to openly communicating the challenges we face without concealing any details, like how they denied knowing about the day before's trademark dispute prior to the game being pulled from Steam, when they did in fact know months prior, but they lied when everything went down, saying that they actually decided to remove the game from Steam themselves because they wanted to keep working on it, but that wasn't actually true. As we later learned, Valve took down the game due to a trademark dispute Fantastic had over the name the day before, a dispute that they received notice of due to public record. We know this at least some 6 months prior to the events happening. This line here seems to be just them acknowledging that deception. They're saying, yes, we have not been open with the challenges that we face. We've lied about them. That's what they're saying here. That's why they're committing to honesty, because they haven't been honest before. And then the final bullet point in this section says, all aspects of our marketing will remain clear, transparent, and free from embellishments, like all of the embellishments they made around the day before, what kind of game it was, how it looked, all those vertical slice trailers that turned out to be not even remotely representative of the final product. And I'm not just talking about the visual downgrade here. That's something we've seen from a lot of development studios studios. I'm talking about the game's mechanics, the enemy density, the systems and features. Just what the game was that they were showing in those trailers was nothing like what they released, because those were never actually recordings of a real game. They were recordings of vertical slices that were just built solely for those trailers. That game didn't exist. Those vertical slice in-engine walkthroughs did, but that was it. That was never actually the real game, as we saw when the game was actually released. And then they've got the transparency section, which reads much the same. It says, "We understand the mistakes and absence of past communications. We commit to ensuring transparency in development and openly providing honest and comprehensive information." And then finally, they've got the professionalism section, which says, "We are transitioning from a volunteer-driven approach to one firmly rooted in professionalism." And of course, here in this section, they are referencing their prior proud proclamations of being a company that was volunteer-based, running on the support and the labor of unpaid developers, essentially, like their version of interns. Literally, all of this is them saying, we won't do everything we've done up until this point. The next page in the PDF lays out their strategic objectives throughout the course of the next year. These include strengthening community engagement, raising development standards, expanding professionalism, enhancing brand identity, and having continuous improvements. Then they've got the page that lays out the design philosophy behind their new rebrand of the logo. Funny enough here, they make no mention of Twitch TV as part of their inspiration, which I find sort of odd. This entire recovery plan PDF can be summed up with, "We know we haven't been honest, transparent, or professional in the past, but we promise we are going to do the complete opposite in the future," which, okay, sure, show me, but no, I'm not buying your merch or supporting your Kickstarter campaign for your new game. Are you insane? They lied about a game throughout the course of its entire development, were intentionally deceptive. They ripped off other development studios and marketing teams with the content that they released, and then they launched a substandard product that completely flopped, following by them shutting down their studio just 4 days later. And now they're coming back after 9 months from abandoning the game and supposedly closing the studio, saying, "Hey y'all, we're back. We've changed." Like, what? Even why? What's probably most baffling to me here is why they're so committed to sticking to this failed studio. Like, why not just make a new studio? They could just as easily come up with a new name, start making games again, and they're probably far more likely to succeed that way. Like, what's the point of sticking to Fantastic? Even with the publicity that they get from people like me covering the story or journalists making articles about it, it's proven to not much matter if they release garbage games anyways. As we have seen, the day before was so bad, Steam automatically ended up refunding anyone who purchased it. I have never seen that happen before. That's unprecedented. Maybe it has, but I don't recall an instance where Steam has automatically refunded purchases to people. They don't have some legacy reputation to be building on here. They've done nothing but release bad failed games and ripoffs and abandoned every single one of them. Like, what is going on? All right, so in addition to this PDF, they also released an FAQ. Now, beyond some fluff that just repeats their mission statement and things that we've already covered, there's a few things in here that I want to highlight. So first, how has the team at Fantastic changed? They said, "Our team has become smaller, but it still consists of the same people who created all our previous games. Some team members are helping out on a goodwill basis, some are juggling other jobs, and some are working only evenings." I swear to God, it sounds like they're just rewording the volunteers that they have. Some team members are helping on a goodwill basis. Are those not volunteers? Are those goodwill basis team members being paid? I'm gonna just venture out and say no, probably not. They haven't changed, guys. That's what I'm getting to. One of the first things their FAQ, after talking about how they've changed and they're moving away from a volunteer-based organization and are going to be raising development standards, they're talking about team members who are helping out on a goodwill basis. They're literally unpaid interns, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Fantastic. Release a statement if these goodwill basis team members who are juggling other jobs and working only evenings, how much money are they making? I'm genuinely curious. All right, next question that they answer. What kind of support are you expecting from the community? Here, that's a good one. "We are counting on your active support, especially for our new game Escape Factory on Kickstarter, as this is a crucial moment for our return." Yes, if they do not get the $15,000 requested for their game Escape Factory, Factory, the development studio, actually probably won't come back. Gee, that would be a shame. What will happen if Escape Factory on Kickstarter does not reach its funding goal? They say if Escape Factory Kickstarter campaign doesn't reach its funding goal, unfortunately, we won't be able to so literally they're saying if they can't raise these $15,000 for this Fall Guys inspired game, they won't be returning. Next question. What happened to Prop Night in the day before? And do you have any reflections on the day before's unsuccessful launch? This is great. After the unsuccessful launch of the day before, we couldn't continue development due to financial losses, which led to Fantastic's closure. We lost all rights to Prop Night and the day before. Now, they keep saying this. They keep mentioning this. I've seen it in numerous responses to people that asking them questions on Twitter and stuff. They keep saying they lost the rights to Prop Night and the day before, and that's why they're not supporting them. But my question is how? And to who? The only thing that I can think of is if the rights went to the publisher after they announced the closure of their studio, a closure which we now see clearly didn't last very long. They're back after 9 months. But also, from what I understand, both of those things are under the same umbrella. The publisher is Mytona Fantastic. That's right. Fantastic is right in the name. That's because they're both owned by the exact same holdings company. And from what I've also read, Mytona Fantastic was started by one of their brothers. So what is going on here? Also, I can understand if they lost the rights to the day before because the game failed, it all got refunded. So that all got transferred when they closed down the studio. But when and how did they lose the rights to Prop Night? Like, you got to remember, while they were developing the day before, they also developed and released Prop Night, and that game did actually okay. Like, it had a player base of a couple thousand peak concurrent. It was positive reviews at one point. It eventually shifted to mixed, but that game was going along. People were playing it, and then the day before came out. And so what happened to Prop Night? Like, how did this happen? It really almost seems like they've decided to just abandon that game as well. They didn't want to support it any longer. And I mean, frankly, that wouldn't be too surprising because they have done that with all of their prior games. Now, obviously, we all know about the day before. We saw what happened. We saw that flop and we saw that get abandoned. But they also abandoned their 2 other early access games that they released prior, those being the Wild 8 and Dead Dozen. And then they also had that app that they released, the Continent app, and that just kind of fizzled out, and that got abandoned too. So they've abandoned like everything. In fact, I think they've literally abandoned everything except for their mobile game, the Radiant one or whatever. And here they go on to analyze, give us their analysis of why the day before failed. They said, over time, we've analyzed the factors that led to the day before's unsuccessful launch. These include overly ambitious goals on a low indie budget, a team without AAA tech experience, and embellished marketing. They lied, which we deeply regret. We take full responsibility for what happened, and this experience has taught us a valuable lesson. As a reminder, we didn't accept pre-orders, and all sales of the day before have been fully refunded. They didn't refund the sales of the day before. Valve did because they announced the closure of their studio after realizing their game failed. They're taking responsibility for things they didn't even do. I just can't believe it. All right, next question. What will the community gain from your return? Why should the community support your Kickstarter? Their response is a successful Kickstarter will allow us to release our new game, Escape Factory, and soon announce an innovative game in the prop hunt genre. That's right. They're bringing Prop Night back after Escape Factory. Their next plan is to re-release Prop Night or whatever iteration of it they've got. And then one of the final questions in their FAQ, I genuinely got a kick out of this. It says, do you have any lawsuits right now? And their response is, no, we don't. We're not in conflict with anyone and are ready to start from scratch. Wow, fantastic. Fantastic is back. They're saying, hey guys, we know we messed up, but everyone deserves a second chance. And frankly, I agree. I think everyone deserves a second chance, but we need to be clear here. This isn't their second chance. It is literally like their 7th chance. First, they launched the Wild 8 into early access, then they abandoned development a few months into early access, selling the game to their publisher, the proceeds of which they used to develop and launch a game less than a year later, which was the hilariously bad Dead Dozen. I wouldn't be surprised if you never heard of it. I don't think it managed to break 100 concurrent players. It was a total failure, flop, buggy, garbage of a game. Not surprisingly, they abandoned that one. And then they launched Prop Night, which had some mediocre success, like we mentioned, but has since been abandoned. They tried to release that Teams ripoff, the Continent app. That failed and was abandoned. Then there was the whole disaster of the day before, of which you are well aware. That got abandoned 4 days post-release. Then they closed their studio, and now the studio's back looking for a seventh, looking for a 7th chance at redemption. Nah, I don't think so, dude. Wait, and you know what still puzzles me to this day, after everything that's taken place, is the why. Why did it all go down the way that it did? It wasn't a rug pull or a scam on consumers because they didn't end up making any money off of the day before, but they could have. And that is the thing. That's the thing that blows my mind. If they simply didn't announce that they were closing the studio and they kept the game up and running and just didn't do anything, like if they just released the day before, yeah, it sucked and whatever, it got bad reviews, but if they just released it and just stopped supporting it, like just don't go into the office, don't spend any more money on the game or whatever, keep it up for sale, don't announce that you're closing the studio, which results in Valve pulling it from Steam, without question, they would have made money off at least some decent percentage of players who didn't issue refund requests. For sure, they could have made money that way. So why close the studios 4 days after launch of the game? Like, what point does it serve? I don't think there's ever been any confirmation or clarification on this, but it seems like it's probable, or there's some possibility, that they had to meet some sales threshold to maintain the studio, be that via getting additional funding from investors, or to make good on promises to whoever their investors were. Like maybe they had some threshold they had to meet. They say, hey, if you sell X games, you won't owe us back this money or something. I don't know. Like, I'm pulling at threads here, but was this an investor scam? Like, what is happening? And once again, even if it was, like, even though the game was a total failure, they still would have made money if they just didn't announce the closure of the studio and just kept the day before up there. I feel like the story here goes way deeper than what we know. It's just all so crazy. I don't know what to make of it. Either way, though, yes, Fantastic is back. No, you probably shouldn't support them if history is going to teach us anything. That's all for today. The return of Fantastic wasn't on my 2024 bingo card, but here we are. I'll be sure to keep you updated if they announce the day after or something. You know, we'll see. Thanks for watching. See you next time.